Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, let's begin. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is not really about monsters, gods, or even the Trojan War. At its heart, it is about one man trying to return home after becoming someone he can no longer recognize. And that is what makes this film so powerful. Yes, this is a massive IMAX spectacle. It has war, destruction, mythological horror, giant sets, and an incredible cast. But Nolan's real interest is not in showing us how grand this world is. He wants us to feel how heavy it is to live inside Odysseus's mind. So, in this review, I'll first talk without spoilers, and then we'll get into the details. The Odyssey is based on Homer's legendary Greek epic, written nearly 3,000 years ago. After the Trojan War, King Odysseus begins his journey back to Ithaca, where his wife Penelope and son Telemachus are waiting for him. But this is not a simple journey home. Odysseus makes decisions that put his men in danger, challenges forces much bigger than himself, and slowly begins to understand the cost of the war he survived. Meanwhile, in Ithaca, Penelope and Telemachus are fighting a different kind of battle. With Odysseus missing, powerful suitors are trying to force Penelope into marriage and take control of the kingdom. Do you prefer this grounded version of Greek mythology, or would you have wanted Nolan to make it more fantastical? Let me know. The story is huge, but Nolan makes it feel surprisingly personal. If you are expecting a straightforward sword and sandal adventure, this film may surprise you. Nolan does give you scale, but he does not use scale just to impress you. Every giant sequence has an emotional purpose. Every storm, every creature, every loss feels connected to Odysseus's guilt. That is why I think The Odyssey feels closer in spirit to Oppenheimer than to a conventional fantasy epic. In both films, Nolan is interested in a man who has achieved something extraordinary but has to live with its consequences. Odysseus is a great warrior and strategist, but the film keeps asking one uncomfortable question. What does victory mean if it destroys the person you were supposed to return home as? Matt Damon gives one of his most restrained performances here. In the beginning, Odysseus feels like a man who believes he can control everything with intelligence and courage. But as the journey becomes more brutal, you can see that confidence breaking down. Damon does not play him as a perfect mythological hero. He plays him as a tired, wounded man carrying the weight of every decision he made. Anne Hathaway is equally strong as Penelope. She brings both authority and vulnerability to the role. Penelope is not simply waiting for her husband to come back, she is holding an entire kingdom together while people around her try to take it away from her. Holland also works very well as Telemachus. He brings innocence, frustration, and determination to the character. His journey feels important because he is trying to understand a father he barely knows, while also being forced to grow up far too quickly. And Robert Pattinson as Antinous is genuinely effective. He does not need to shout or overplay the villainy. His presence itself creates discomfort. You understand why the atmosphere in Ithaca feels suffocating. For me, Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway carry the emotional weight of the film. Who was your favorite performance? Now, without giving too much away, Nolan's storytelling structure is one of the film's biggest strengths. He uses a non-linear approach, moving across timelines and perspectives. Some viewers may need a few minutes to settle into the rhythm, but once the structure starts connecting emotionally, it becomes incredibly effective. Nolan is not using the fractured narrative simply to confuse the audience. He is using it to make us feel Odysseus's memory, regret, and longing. The film does not treat the Trojan War as a simple heroic victory. It treats it as something that has left permanent damage behind. And visually, this might be one of Hoyte van Hoytema's most immersive works with Nolan. The camera often keeps us close to Odysseus and his crew. Instead of constantly giving us wide, clean views of every monster and every location, the film places us inside the fear of the characters. You are not always watching danger from a safe distance. You are trapped in it with them. That decision makes scenes involving the Cyclops, Circe, and the underworld much more intense. The movie understands that horror is often more powerful when you experience it from the point of view of someone who does not fully understand what is happening around them. And Ludwig Göransson's score is used with real control. It does not constantly tell you what to feel. In many moments, it slowly builds tension with deep, unsettling sounds, almost like the music is reminding us that something terrible is waiting beneath the surface. Before we enter the spoiler section, tell me, did this movie meet your expectations as a Christopher Nolan fan? Now, from here onward, let's talk spoilers. From this point, this review contains spoilers. If you haven't watched The Odyssey yet, pause this video and come back after watching it. The biggest thing Nolan changes is the emotional meaning of Odysseus' journey. This is not just the story about a king defeating obstacles to reach home. It is a story about a man who has to confront the damage caused by war and his own role in it. The Trojan horse becomes more than a clever military idea. It becomes a symbol of guilt. It represents the violence, deception, and destruction that Odysseus helped bring into the world. Nolan is not interested in glorifying conquest. He is asking us to look at the moral cost behind it. That is why the Hades sequence becomes the emotional center of the film. Up until that point, Odysseus is still trying to survive the physical dangers around him. But in Hades, he is forced to confront the psychological danger inside him. It is the point where the movie makes it clear. Odysseus cannot simply sail back to Ithaca and become the same man again. He has to accept what he has done. The Cyclops episode introduces the mythological side of the story, but the Circe sequence is where the film becomes truly disturbing. It is visually bold, emotionally strange, and probably one of the most memorable sections in the entire movie. Nolan makes the fantastical elements feel physical and frightening, rather than simply beautiful. I also like that the film avoids turning Odysseus into an untouchable superhero. He is clever, capable, and brave, but he is also selfish at times, emotionally closed off, and slow to understand how his choices affect others. That makes his eventual return more meaningful. The final act is, of course, predictable if you know the original story, but Nolan still finds tension in it because the question is not, will Odysseus return home? The real question is, what kind of man will return home? That is the beauty of The Odyssey. It takes a story that many people know and finds a deeply human emotion inside it. It is not only about surviving monsters, it is about surviving your own guilt. Yes, the film has a few small issues. Some transitions and jump cuts feel slightly noticeable, especially in the earlier conversations, and viewers expecting constant action may find parts of the film more reflective than explosive. But for me, those are minor complaints in a film this ambitious. Christopher Nolan has made a visually enormous movie, but he never loses sight of the person at the center of it. The Odyssey is an epic about war, homecoming, family, fear, and regret. And it proves that even after thousands of years, Homer's story still has the power to feel immediate. My rating, 8 out of 10. Have you watched The Odyssey? Do you think this is Christopher Nolan's best film, or do you still prefer Interstellar, The Dark Knight, Inception, or Oppenheimer? Let me know in the comments.